Hello folks, I'm David with Terrain-Tronics. Today we're looking at some of the tools that I recommend on my Amazon wishlist. You know, beginners tools for electronics really are a mixed bag. You never know what you're really going to get. And so what we've got today are this Astro AI multimeter. We're going to have a quick look at this, see if it can measure the basics and see how well it can do it. And then in addition, we've got this soldering set, which you can see it comes with loads of tools inside. Pardon the noise, the crispiness it makes, but we're going to have a look for the first time. I've never opened this, so let's have a quick look and see where we get from here, okay? We'll start with this kit first. It comes with a user manual on top, that's always useful. Now then, the user manual, I'm quite impressed actually with the user manual. You know, there's details of all the tools which are inside, that's always very, very nice. And what I did like here is some of the specifications as well. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys can see this because of the brightness. Let's see if we can. It's a 900M series compatible soldering iron, and that means 900M series are the Hakko. Hakko is like the brand name in this market. 900M series tips you can get anywhere, on Amazon, on AliExpress, anywhere. So if you ever need to change tips, this is a great kit to start off with. So inside, nice little bit of wire, bit of foam that we'll never need again. All right, what have we got in here? We got a little stand. Soldering iron stand, that's useful. Assembled using a wing nut, that's nice and easy. Soldering iron itself, we're going to try that out in just a minute. Let me see. Solder, a little bit of wire. Looks like they've given us a wire stripper of sorts here. This is also a keystone punch tool. It's used for putting like telephone connectors and Ethernet connectors in your house. But down here you can see this is the wire stripper. I don't really recommend these. But if it's free and in the kit, why not? Tweezers, always very, very useful. Love me a good pair of tweezers, especially if you're doing surface mount stuff with some really small LEDs and so on. These are sold as blackhead removers as well as solder suckers. And essentially what you do is you push down on the plunger, you'll warm up the tip of solder that you have, or something that you're trying to remove the solder from, and you warm it up until it gets molten, and then it'll suck up the solder in one go. Now these are pretty good. They're not fantastic, but any port in a storm. And for I think this kit is $13. So far, I have to confess, I'm really impressed so far. Especially if that soldering iron does what it says it's going to do, then it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's fire up the soldering iron. Here's a little bit of wire that I have here. The first thing we're going to test is just tinning some wire, and I'm going to start off by trimming it a little bit. There we go. And pull. Did that strip it? No, that did not strip it. Okay, so now we have a bit of wire, which I am going to put in this little vise that I have here, just to hold it down. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some tinning. We're going to tin the wire, and that means to cover it in a little bit of solder, and it really helps to solder the rest of the system by doing so. Now I'm going to use some of the solder that came with the kit. Oh, this is starting to get warm, and you can see actually on the soldering iron there is a little LED, so you can see if it's on. That's really useful. It's just shining through the blue plastic. All right, let's try it. You ready? Okay, this is just putting solder on the soldering iron itself. Now let's see if it couples onto the That's actually pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. Now normally what you would do is you would put some water on this little foam pad, and that sits by there, and then you wipe off the soldering iron on that. But I actually use, for a lot of stuff that I do, a bit of this brass wool. This brass wool cleans the tip just as well, so just like that. Alright, and it cleans off the soldering iron tip. So soldering iron obviously heats up. The quality is good. I like that. I like that a lot actually. So and in the kit there's actually a number of other tips as well. So you have these very, very thin tips, a wider tip here, a hoof type tip, we call that hoof, and then this edge, this kind of blade one. But we'll come back to that. Alright, so that's the first part of this video. Now we'll put all this stuff aside, and then we'll have a look at the multimeter. Alright, let's get started with part 2 here. This is the multimeter that I've been recommending. This is a $13 multimeter. I'm not really expecting very much, but you know, for the uses for controlling LEDs and things like that, what we need is to make sure that circuits are passing, you know, that circuits are complete and, you know, connections are made well, and to, you know, test voltages and things like that. So for $13 on the face of it, if this does what it says it should, I'll be very happy. So let's have a look what's inside the box. Alright, we got a little thank you card. Nothing else in there. We got the box itself. Looks like it's been vacuum packed. Pretty impressed with that, to be honest with you. That's nice. It's got a little stand and so on, and then some probe cables as well. So let's take these out first. You know, not bad actually. Yeah, they don't feel cheaply made. Obviously made to a budget for $13, including shipping. So we're going to be measuring voltage, and we're going to be measuring resistance. So we're going to put that in there, and that in there. And here comes the magic one. You ready? Okay. Oh, look. Okay, so the battery must already be in it. Oh, that's helpful. And the backlight. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. You know, when you're deep in your bookshelf, working on your book nook and so on. Now let's see what happens. How the beep is. Ready? Pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. So you know what you would do is you would have a piece of wire. Say for instance, I'm going to use this resistor just for now, just to prove it, from one end of the wire to the other, and to make sure they've got a connection, you put the two probes down, and you'll get 0 there because there's 0 resistance. Very good. Okay, happy with that. Now let's measure the resistance here. I don't know what value this is. I just grabbed this from my parts bin, and so let's have a quick look. Okay, we're gonna go to 2000 ohms and probe down one side, probe down the other. 120 ohms on the nose. So that's a 120 ohm resistor. Pretty pleased with that. That measures it well. Very happy so far with this. This is functional. This is doing exactly what I wanted to do. Now, if you want to know how many volts you have on your LED, you can put it into. So this is going to tell you how many volts the LED drops. Okay, when you put signal through it. It may not even light up, but let's see. Oh, it did light up. And it's not telling me how many volts it is. That's interesting. Okay, well, it tells me which way around things are, without a doubt. Let's flip it around. And of course, that's not going to light up then either. Okay, so that's telling me very quickly the brightness, but it does not tell me the voltage. Okay, let's try this with a white LED. White LEDs are notoriously a nuisance to drive. Let's try it. Ready? No, nothing that way around. Will it be this way around? Okay, so what that tells me very quickly is that to test the LEDs and the voltage I need for the LEDs, I'm going to need a separate LED tester. Now, I think I've discussed these before. This is an LED tester that I think I paid $12 for 2 of them. I don't know why you need 2 once you have one. I actually keep one here in the garage and then one in my office as well in the house. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, at 10 milliamps, and you can see the 10 by there, I'm going to plug this in. And hopefully it's not too, hold on, there we go, blinding. Sometimes you got to wiggle it to make the connection. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use this tool to measure the voltage of this LED. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to switch it onto this symbol here. Okay, so which voltage? Probably going to be less than 20 volts. And this little line here means DC. So it's not AC voltage, not like wall power. This is what you get from batteries and things like that. Okay, I'm going to put one on the negative leg, one on the positive leg. All right, and we're going to push the button and see if it lights up. All right, and that tells me, if you can see by my pinky over here, that's 2.86 volts being dropped across that. Now, let's push up the current a little bit. Oh, down, let's take it down, because it's blinding me. Okay, we'll do the same again. Bring this in a little closer. Sorry about that, folks. Set this up. 2.75. So at lower current, it drops about 2.75 volts. But that means that, you know, a single AA battery is not going to be able to drive this, or even a pair of them won't be able to drive it for long, because at some point it's going to drop below 2.75 volts. All right, let's see the same thing for this red LED. Got my positive and negative here. Let's see how many volts this LED drops. Ready? 1.96. So if you have a 3-volt battery like a coin cell, it's going to be able to drive this LED and switch it on for a lot longer, because it's going to drop voltage from 3, 2.9, 2.8 and so on all the way down. And even if it gets down to 2 volts, it's still going to be able to light this LED. So what does that tell you? Well, CR2032 batteries, those little coins, can drive white LEDs like this for a short time, but as they lose voltage, they're going to stop shining, whereas a red LED is going to be able to shine for a lot longer. As for this tool, you know, we've used it to test some of the LEDs and so on. Some of them have worked, some of them have not. I'm not entirely convinced about using it as the only tool, but in collaboration with a little $6 LED tester like this, this can be quite useful as well. We've shown how to test you know, the LEDs to make sure they're conductive and so on, and we've got them wired the right way around. We've shown how to test, I can test a battery source here. Let's do that. This is a positive, negative battery. And again, I've got it on the right setting over here. It's at 9.6 volts. So I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, 9.61 or whatever. So that's how we test them. We leave them plugged in like this. So now we've tested the battery, we've tested for conductivity or resistance, and we've tested whether these LEDs work. Overall, $13 with the battery built into it. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm pretty pleased with that, to be fair. All right. Thanks again, folks. Bye-bye.